Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Ty Milburn, coming to you from the beautiful and historic Capitol Theater in Portchester, where News 12 and Feeding Westchester present Westchester Strong. We live here, we work here, we play here. But Westchester has a little-known problem that lives on virtually every street and every community across the county: hunger, a sobering reality that exists for tens of thousands who, without our help, would go to bed without food. Before the coronavirus pandemic changed life as we know it, 200,000 people relied on Feeding Westchester and its agencies to be able to put food on their table.
Thank you, Jesus.
They could be your friends, your neighbors, or maybe it's you. The people of Westchester have shown they are New York tough time and time again, but now you are needed more than ever to help the most vulnerable among us and make all of us Westchester strong.
Ty is so right. The people of Westchester have proved time and time again that when we come together, we can do anything. When the COVID-19 crisis first hit New Rochelle, Feeding Westchester went to work like never before. We went from moving 800,000 pounds of food in a month to more than 2 million pounds of food in a month, and we're still doing that today. Here's what things looked like at our operations center back in March and April, when the entire county stepped up like never before to help us feed Westchester. We have mobilized Feeding Westchester like we never have before and under circumstances we've never seen. We count on about 11,000 volunteers every year to help us do the job that we do. And right now we can't lean on them the way we usually have.
All of the products that are going in these boxes are lined up, and you can see the room is filled with volunteers and our very special volunteers who are coming to us from the National Guard. This universal box is ready to be delivered to those agencies and locations for quick distribution to households that need our help.
The great need right now is to get as much food into people's homes as we can and still be able to feed them today and give them enough for a little bit later. So we're using our drop sites to put as much product out as we can. We're using our mobile pantries for as long as we're allowed to. Every year, we feed over 200,000 people across Westchester County who struggle every day to put 2 days worth of food together in their homes. Imagine how they must feel when someone tells them they need 2 weeks' supply in their house and they're not allowed to eat it yet. If you want to be a part of helping us, now's the time to go online and make a gift. I'm pretty sure our next performer is known by all. He's been a part of our family's worlds for years, and his music has been the soundtrack of so many of our lives. He's been with us on long car rides. He's been part of family movie night. He's put our kids to bed. And odds are some of you are humming one of his tunes right now. Since this is about as close as I'm going to get to meeting him, at least for a little while, I wanted to personally thank him for sharing his gift with the world and for helping bring a little bit of the happiest place on earth into our homes tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, one of the world's most iconic music men, Mr. Alan Menken.
Be our guest, put our service to the test, and a dinner here is never second best. Go on, unfold your menu, take a glass, and then you be our guest. We are guests, be our guest. Mr. Aladdin, sir, what will your pleasure be? Let me take you on a jaunt and tell you ain't never had a friend like me. Down where it's wetter, take it from me. Up on the shores that work all day, out in the sun we slave away, while we devote full time to floating under the sea. Tale as old as time, true as it can be. Barely even friends, then somebody bends unexpectedly. Neither one prepared, Beauty and the Beast. Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay all day in the sun, wandering free. Wish I could be part of of that world. I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. Tell me, princess, now when did you last let your heart decide? A whole new world, a new fantastic point of view. No one to tell us no where to go. They say we're only dreaming. A whole new world, a dazzling place I never knew. But now from way up here, it's crystal clear. Now I'm in a whole new world with you. A whole new world, that's where we'll be. A thrilling chase, a wondrous place for you and me. I get used to seeing kind of, that look of magic in a child's eyes, when they play the songs or when they react to that Disney project. But there's another kind of magic in a child's eyes that we also see, and that is the need for food, the need for milk or for their favorite fruit or for just something that makes them feel satisfied and happy. And in these times, it's especially important. I've lived in Westchester for most of my life, most of my 70 years. And I have seen that need firsthand, sadly, among some of my neighbors and among people I've come in contact with, and especially these days. Families with lost income and people who are struggling with bills, seniors without enough money left over after their Social Security checks to make ends meet, and children who count on meals at school and at camp. As our country rebuilds, we need to meet the need for food for these kids and for all these people. We need to help our neighbors get back on their feet. So I hope, if you haven't already, you'll consider donating to Feeding Westchester. It's a really important cause, and you'll be doing a wonderful thing. And together, we'll make sure that nobody goes hungry.
Thank you so much, Alan. That was fantastic. And now our next star may have quite a Bronx tale to tell, but decorated actor and Broadway star Chaz Palminteri and his wife Gianna and their children are writing their family's story right here in Westchester.
Hi, I'm Gianna Palminteri.
Hi, and I'm Chaz Palminteri.
Westchester County is our home. Before the pandemic, over 200,000 of our neighbors were food insecure. Now that need has almost doubled.
Many of our neighbors are worried about putting food on their table, some for the very first time.
Feeding Westchester has been there from the very start, helping to take that worry off the table from our neighbors.
And now they need our help, so please donate if you can.
Remember, we are all in this together. Feeding Westchester, we are here for you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tara Rosenblum. I'm a longtime reporter, anchor, and host with News 12 Westchester and News 12 Hudson Valley. And I wanted to join the telethon today because for my team, the Turn to Tara team, this is an issue that's really become deeply personal. Over the past few months, since the coronavirus arrived on our shores here in New York, our team has seen firsthand how great the need is right here in this county. You know, a lot of people think of Westchester outside of our borders and they conjure up images of white picket fences and country clubs, but we have seen in such a personal way how strong the need is right here at home. We have told not dozens but hundreds of stories since the coronavirus began, but one in particular really pulled at the heartstrings of this county, and we want to share it with you now because it really sums it up why your help is so needed here today. Take a look.
I call 20 times a day.
Filing for unemployment is now a full-time job for single White Plains mom, Kimberly Queso.
I mean, this was like a last resort, reaching out to you.
The laid-off exercise instructor has not had a paycheck since March 9th and told me she's running out of money to feed her 13-year-old son.
My son has lost 8 pounds.
And herself.
I've lost 5 pounds. I shared a can of tuna with my cats last night because that's how bad it is.
Sadly, she's not alone.
There's no way to get through.
Instead, one of hundreds who've reached out to us in desperation in just the past several weeks.
I'll call, 20 times an hour, 300 times a day. Zero income, haven't received a check for 2 months. Things get stressful.
Their stories and data obtained by the Turn to Terra team offers a grim snapshot of the unemployment crisis across the Empire State, where another 222,000 New Yorkers just filed for unemployment benefits in 1 week, a 1,000% increase from this time last year, bringing the total of jobless applications since the start of the crisis to more than 1.6 million. Outside of New York City, the data also reveals the Hudson Valley and Long Island are the hardest hit regions in the state. But for each week that goes by without job offers or benefits, many New Yorkers like Kimberly Queso watch their wallets and waistlines grow smaller.
It's nice to be able to lose a couple pounds, but not this way. Not because of the lack of food.
And thank you, Tara. The woman in Tara's story isn't alone. There are so many stories just like hers of hardworking people who lost their job, their income, and have limited or no access to food. Now, to meet the growing need, for the first time ever, Feeding Westchester held an emergency drive-through food distribution at its operations center in Elmsford. I was there and spoke to people forced to lean on a food bank for help, many for their first time. It took a small army of volunteers, including a valiant effort by the New York National Guard, to help Feeding Westchester at its weekly food distribution center.
On this line, this is my third time.
And folks like Gonzalez Rogaine of Yonkers showed up.
And it's going to feed us for the next week.
He's just one of many across the Hudson Valley hit hard by COVID-19 and in need of a helping hand.
It's a lot of family that we need to get the food because we got kids to feed, and this is a big help.
Over 400 families drove up to the Feeding Westchester headquarters to pick up their food today. And since the pandemic started, more than 6 million pounds of food have been given away. Officials here say they don't believe that this need will end anytime soon. For New York National Guardsman Sergeant Terrell Morton, this mission is a labor of love.
And it means a lot to us.
He says it's not only an honor, it's his patriotic duty to give back.
We have some families that they actually shed tears. So it's really a heartful moment when we see all these people come here just to give them food and just for us to be here helping Feeding Westchester.
Neighbors helping neighbors in a time of need.
Hi, this is Mariano Rivera. Through Feeding Westchester organization, we, the Refuge of Hope Church, we've been able to help so many people, especially the community of New Rochelle, where there's so much need. And thank God for organizations like Feeding Westchester because, they've been a blessing to us. And because that blessing reflects on the community, on the needs. And that's why I thank God for the organization and I bless them and I ask the Lord to bless them in an amazing way. So thank you, Feeding Westchester organization, for what you do for all Westchester community.
Feeding Westchester is grateful to have the support of so many supermarkets and retailers. One of them is Stop & Shop. Now, Stop & Shop has stood shoulder to shoulder with Feeding Westchester in its fight against hunger. Let's go beyond the aisles and meet Stephen Nielsen, the manager of the Stop & Shop at the Cross County Mall in Yonkers, and he's also a Feeding Westchester volunteer.
There's always somebody that needs help. Everything that a typical family needs to have a healthy meal comes through this warehouse. Feeding Westchester has been an important part of Stop & Shop for many years. We have many different programs that we help out with. They come with the trucks, they pick up meat from us, produce items, grocery items. They bring it to the warehouse here and they sort it out to the food banks. Being able to volunteer here helps me to be a better manager. Stop and Shop empowers me to help raise the money or help get the product out to the, the people that need it.
You're watching Feeding Westchester's Westchester Strong, only on News 12. We're here at the beautiful Capitol Theater in Portchester. Tonight, it's all about helping our neighbors who are struggling. Maybe it's somebody on your block, maybe it's your friend, maybe it's you. We never know what's going on behind our neighbors' doors. So please, if you can donate, please do so at the number at the bottom of your screen. All the money we raise tonight will be used to buy food to help folks in every town and village across the county, especially those impacted by COVID-19. Feeding Westchester can't do what it does without its 300 partner agencies and programs throughout Westchester, and many of them having to change their models on a dime. Now, during the crisis, 3 agencies in Portchester teamed up to make sure everyone was fed, offering a to-go model and delivery for the very first time. I caught up with Caritas, the Salvation Army, and the Carver Center at the height of the pandemic. At Caritas of Portchester, it was all hands on deck. A small army of volunteers on hand to organize the dozens of bags of food and bread
We got muffins, we got pies.
the nonprofit will distribute to the needy.
Our average is about 40 families would come. Just to give you an idea, the Carver Center gave out food distribution to over 1,000 families in a week.
Caritas used to run a soup kitchen out of St. Peter's Church, but not anymore. Instead of having folks dine in, their new mission is to get the food dropped off.
Food delivery is a smart way to go because it minimizes contact.
Today we have 100 deliveries to do, so it's going to be a really busy day.
Lieutenant Jonathan Quintella says they are taking the bags of food from Caritas and having their volunteers drop it off to the homes of whomever needs it.
Feeding Westchester is a proud member of Feeding America, a network of 200 incredible food banks across the United States. Throughout this pandemic, Feeding America and its food banks have been hard at work in overdrive, solving problems, sharing solutions, and helping each other feed America in this incredibly challenging time. Their support continues even now and will continue, and we are so grateful for it. Tonight, I'm pleased to share a very special message from a very special guest, and our only guest from out of town.
I'm Claire Babineau-Fontenot, and it's my privilege to serve as CEO of Feeding America. Right now, in this country, not only are we struggling through a health pandemic, but there's a food crisis going on as well. Tens of millions of people across the country do not have enough food to support themselves and their families. In fact, our estimate is that because of this pandemic, the rates of food insecurity around the U.S. will go up to 54 million people, nearly 20 million of whom will be children. So I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to say thank you to Westchester County. You've really stood up and helped not only your local community, but people outside of your community as well. Because when you invest in organizations like Feeding Westchester, your reach extends within and beyond your county. So I'm so pleased again to get a chance to say thank you, guys. Whether you've been a part of this movement with us for many years, or this is your first time making an investment in our work, I want you to know that as far as I'm concerned, you're part of the Feeding America team, and you're here right when we need you the most. Go team. Thank you, Westchester.
Altice, the parent company of News 12, understands the urgent need and is donating $200,000 to Feeding America. $10,000 of that contribution will come directly here to Feeding Westchester to help us feed our neighbors in need. Thank you to our friends at Altice and at News 12 for your support.
And we have another special treat for you. Adrienne Walker starred in the Disney Lion King production on Broadway in New York City. And tonight she has a special performance for us.
There is a place we'll go where there is mostly quiet, flowers and butterflies, a rainbow lives beside it. And from Not even lightning will be frightening my lion. And with no fear inside, no need to run, no need to hide. You're standing strong and tall. You're the bravest of them all. If on courage you must call, then just keep on trying and trying and trying. You're a lion in your own way. Be a lion.
If you have it in your heart to donate, to volunteer, please do so. They can use your help.
I found a pallet on Saturday that was a food drive that came in from somewhere, and it had tons of tuna fish on it. All I talked about all weekend. People are like, don't you have a life? Yeah, tuna fish. Oh, come here. Snacks. My history here, 10 years ago, we did a food drive. I called, spoke to Nancy, first time, and I said, we're gonna match. Do you want us to match with food? She says, no, bring cash. So I wasn't thinking, now during Christmas, and I do wear it here, I wear little antlers. And I showed up at the warehouse in Millwood with antlers and a mink jacket, my mother's mink jacket. So Nancy has never forgotten the visual of me walking in with my antlers and my mink jacket with the food. But the minute I walked in that warehouse, I fell in love. Who's better than you? Great food drive. I can't imagine sitting home doing nothing. I am up in the morning, I am out of the house, I'm here. When they find out that you volunteer here, they make silly comments about, well, they go to a food, they're driving a Mercedes, and you kind of have to take a step back and, are they living in that car? You just don't know what's happening behind the doors of your next door neighbor. My next door neighbor was living on cat food. I had no idea. For us, with working with the agencies here, we know what they need, we know what they want. So it's kind of like, for me, it's a big game of supermarket sweep. To go out and look for what they want, and you're like, oh, I want those. Wait, give me these. Because we know what they're gonna take. We do have a lot of volunteers, the regulars, most of them are retired. Some of them come in, they come in before they go to work in the morning. I used to come in after work, before work, during, whenever I could. Some people come here in between jobs, which is really, really healthy. It's amazing the network. It's amazing how much stuff they get done. The sad part is it never ends. It just never ends. As hard as you work, there's 20 more behind it of something else that needs to be done. What's the cost to us? Time? A little sweat equity? It's all good. It's all good.
I'm State Senator Andrea Stewart Cousins, and I'm one of the senators representing Westchester County. No state has been hit more by COVID-19 than New York, and yet every day our community has come up with ways to help their neighbors as they fight this pandemic. One of the greatest examples was finding ways to support our local food banks, because the vulnerabilities of so many of our neighbors and our residents was certainly part of the COVID-19 pandemic. Since the pandemic began, Feeding Westchester has been at the forefront of the county's response, making sure that people had the most basic, yet most important thing we all need, food. We are New York tough and Westchester strong. I've seen firsthand the effect this organization has had all throughout my community. In fact, just the other day, I was happy to lend a helping hand at the drive-through distribution center in Elmsford, which feeds about 300 families per distribution. It was a moving experience that I was honored to be part of. Even though our region has started the reopening process, the need is still great. Feeding kids this summer, feeding seniors who are still shut in and afraid to leave isolation at this time, and supporting families who are trying to get back on their feet are all issues Feeding Westchester addresses annually. But this summer, that work is going to be harder and more important than ever before. These are our neighbors, and they need us. This is our community, and Feeding Westchester is our food bank. Please join me in supporting Feeding Westchester and donating what you can. You can donate by texting to the number at the bottom of your screen, or you can go to feedingwestchester.org/donate. Thank you so much for being great neighbors.
During the crisis, a very musical family from Rye made sure no one's birthday went unnoticed. They grabbed their instruments and played and sang on their neighbors' lawns to make sure everyone felt special. And they are here with us tonight, performing an original arrangement of one of my favorite songs for the first time ever on Garcia's stage, the Maloney Family String Quintet.
Hi, I'm Shane Grant, CEO of Danone North America. You will know our company for well-known brands that likely you have in your fridge. Brands like Activia and Danone Yogurts, Silk, So Delicious frozen desserts, and many others. Danone North America and our family of brands have been part of the Westchester community for over 30 years. We're proud to be your neighbours. We believe we have a responsibility to use our business as a force for good, which is why we partner with Feeding Westchester and support their absolutely critical work. Throughout this COVID-19 crisis, Feeding Westchester has led the charge to make sure children who rely on school meals still have access to healthy foods. Even now, many of our neighbours continue to count on Feeding Westchester to help to feed their families. At Danone, our mission is to bring health through food to as many people as possible. We hope you will join us in donating to Feeding Westchester to care for our community today and indeed every day. Thanks so much.
Now, when the news of the crisis broke out, Governor Cuomo immediately deployed the New York Army National Guard's 53rd Troop Command to help Feeding Westchester staff and volunteers meet the need. And since then, those hardworking men and women haven't left their side, helping to pack a record average of 2 million pounds of food per month during the crisis. Meet the heroes of the 53rd Troop Command. The New York National Guard promoted Specialist Blaise DeLeon in a special ceremony outside of the Feeding Westchester headquarters in Elmsford. Now, within a month of becoming a truck driver, Specialist Blaise doubled the amount of food delivered to his assigned sites around the county. Thank you so much, Specialist Blaise, and all the men and women of the National Guard. Singing for supper, a Yonkers U.S. Postal Service worker saw something on his route that caused him to take some action to help those in the neighborhood that he serves. News 12's Carol Wilkinson has the story.
Like the fellow once said, ain't that a kick in the head?
Meet Brad Jasper, a Yonkers mail carrier with a heart of gold, a great voice, and a love for helping others.
If you keep donating, I'm gonna keep singing. Weather-wise, it's such a lovely day.
Jasper recently launched a Facebook fundraiser to help feed families in need. After noticing someone who lives on his mail route online to receive a food donation.
I had to do something.
Using his Facebook page with the hashtag #SingForOne'sSupper, Jasper raised more than $7,300 in just 12 hours. He estimates that equals nearly 88,000 pounds of food for those in need in Westchester and beyond.
You'd be surprised to find out that in nice areas, well-off communities, there are people that are food insecure. It's getting harder and harder for people to have access to clean, nutritious food. And in fact, on my route, there's a food pantry at one of the local churches, and I'm seeing every week the line getting longer and longer.
And so he continues his battle, fighting COVID-19 and helping to feed others. One song,
I'll be holding you so near,
and one step at a time.
We have a treat for you, a spectacular performance from Broadway star Ellie Ewald. Now, she got her start playing Cassette and Les Mis. And Feeding Westchester is very near and dear to her. Her parents are longtime volunteers. Ellie, take it away.
Think of me fondly when we've said goodbye. Remember me every so often, promise me you'll try. On that day, that not so distant day, when you are far away and free, if you ever find a moment, spare a thought for me. It was always clear that this was never meant to be. If you happen to remember, stop and think of me. Think of August when the world was green. Don't think about the way things might have. Flowers fade, the fruits of summer fade, they have their season, so do we. But please promise me that sometimes you will think.
You may recognize this next star from A Late Night with David Letterman. Paul Schaefer is a composer, actor, and comedian, but he's best known for being Dave Letterman's sidekick, his musical director, and his band leader.
Thank you, Ty. Well, Westchester is my home. It is where my wife and I raised our two wonderful children. But you know, even though the country is working on reopening and rebuilding, there are still hundreds and thousands of people in neighborhoods all across Westchester who don't have enough food to feed their families. Now, your donation can help ensure that nobody goes without food during this difficult time. Anything you can donate, any amount that you can afford, will bring food to those in need the most. So text the number at the bottom of your screen and make your donation to Feeding Westchester today. Let's help feed our neighbors. Let's feed Westchester, because like the song says, let's feed Westchester today.
Hello, I'm Vanessa Williams, and Westchester is my home. I was born in Tarrytown. I live in Chappaqua. I'm a singer, an actress, an author, and a mother. And as a mother, no child should go hungry. For many kids in Westchester, no school, no camp means no food. Before the crisis, 60,000 children in Westchester were food insecure, and now that number is up to 40% higher. These children rely on the support of child feeding programs provided like Feeding Westchester. And with your help, the organization is able to provide nutritious food to these children and their families. So please donate if you can. Let's help my neighbors and yours. We're all neighbors.
That was the Vanessa Williams. Thank you so much. If anyone knows how to feed children and their families, it's those in the Ossining School District. Now, we visited the Ossining High School just before the crisis to check out their school pantry run by two amazing teachers who make themselves available anytime anybody needs some food.
And I was like, baby, 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 oh, like.
At first glance, it's easy to assume the students at Ossining High School don't have a care in the world.
They had me going crazy. Oh, I was starstruck.
But looks can be deceiving. The reality is some of the students in this district have worries not visible to the open eye. Some don't know when or where their next meal is coming from.
There's definitely students who will come and have, comfortable sharing that their last meal may have been on Friday when they were at school.
62% of the students in the Ossining School District rely on free or reduced breakfast and lunch, and that was before the coronavirus. To meet the needs of this growing population, Ossining officials have teamed up with Feeding Westchester to create an in-school food pantry where any student can shop anytime for free.
Who wants to hand rice to Christian?
11th grader Christian Cajamarca is a regular at the pantry.
Christian's my best customer.
He's not only a customer, he's in charge of stocking the shelves. And when he's done with work, he shops for his family.
He carries two huge, heavy bags, and he's a walker.
And he carries them home by himself on a mile-long journey.
I know what it's like to be hungry, and I know what it's like to sit in a class and maybe not be able to focus.
For teacher Terry DeLeon, food insecurity is something she knows all too well. And it's why the district is adamant that students have access to food 365 days a year.
We open up our cafeterias and they can have breakfast, and I'm sure it's breakfast and or lunch here, Monday through Friday over the summer. Do you want one bag or two?
Patricia Guerin says the partnership with Feeding Westchester is making a big difference for her students.
Westchester's an expensive place to live, and they're in an amazing district where we support them and we love them, so we will help them.
The leader of the Ossining District is Dr. Ray Sanchez, who's also a Feeding Westchester board member.
I was one of those children, struggling. I'm first generation, and I too was, maximizing the resources that my community gave as it relates to food. And it was invaluable for me.
We are here on stage at Garcia's. Now, in partnership with the family of Jerry Garcia, the Capitol Theater christened its lobby bar as Garcia's in honor of the late Grateful Dead singer and guitarist who counted the Portchester Rock Palace among his favorite venues in the country. Our next performer got her start in the music business, becoming the last Raylette background performer for Ray Charles. We now bring to the stage jazz vocalist, composer, artist, diva, Andromeda Touré.
People who need people are the luckiest people in the world. With one person, one very special person, a feeling deep in your soul said you were half, now you're whole. No more hunger or thirst, but first be a person who needs people. People who need people. Are the luckiest people in the world. With one person, one very special person, a feeling deep in your soul said you were half, now you're whole. No more hunger or thirst, but first be a person who needs people. People who need people. Are the luckiest people in the
Hi, I'm George Latimer, Westchester County Executive, and I wanted to join Feeding Westchester for this celebration of the terrific work that's done by the people of this organization. Westchester County has the reputation of being one of the wealthiest counties in the nation and certainly within the state, and it's actually true statistically. But Westchester is more than just that general image. Westchester includes urban centers, small villages, and also inside some of the wealthiest communities, individuals who have great food insecurity. Feeding Westchester has made it a point to use their resources to collect and redistribute the food through many of the various local centers so that people who are in need can find the food they need to keep their family going. It's a wonderful effort, and it's an amazing effort that we've seen come into play more during the COVID crisis than at any point in time before. There are a lot of streets that we live on, and some of them are some of the most fanciest streets in the nation, and some of them are difficult streets to live on. But in every one of those streets, Feeding Westchester tries to reach the people of Westchester County, and we're deeply grateful for that. Now, I'm told there's not a lot of entertainment in a virtual event like this, but I have been asked to add a little bit of that to it. So I'll try from the street that you live. I have often walked down this street before, but the pavement always stayed beneath my feet before. All at once am I several stories high, knowing I'm on the street where you live. Are there lilac trees in the heart of town? Can you hear a lark in any other part of town? Does enchantment pour out of every door? No, it's just on the street where you live. And whatever street you live on, Feeding Westchester will be there for you. Have a wonderful event.
There is no country when you spend your days hungry. Every night afraid of the outside getting in. Whoa, yeah.
are dirty. It's alright, your soul is worthy. The name you pray is all okay if it's real for you. Ooh, oh, and if there's someone you love who cares what a body's made of, husband, partner, wife, just let that love in your life. People, can we make a place at the table? There must be a little grace we can find. Everybody needs a reason to be grateful. People, can we find some grace? The humankind. I'm from your people and you're from mine. We are together in the light. People, can we make a place at the table? There must be a little grace we can find. Everybody needs a reason to be grateful. People, can we find some grace? The humankind.
Hi everyone, I'm Catherine Merlinick. I hope you enjoyed listening to our original song, The Humankind, inspired by Feeding Westchester.
And I'm Greg Werlinick. Let's open our hearts by giving generously to help fight hunger in our community and find a place at the table for all of our neighbors. Please make a donation today to Feeding Westchester by texting the number at the bottom of your screen. Thank you.
Remember Stella and her awesome lemonade stand? The spunky 6-year-old came to Feeding Westchester to drop off a shoebox stuffed with more than $300 and a few empty candy wrappers. But it gets even better. A man saw Stella's story and matched her donation. Then he got his company to match his. All in all, that's nearly $1,000 for our hungry neighbors in need, all because of a little girl with a very big heart and a really great idea.
Hello, my name is Stella, and thanks for watching. And I was the one who raised a lot of money at the lemonade stand, and it's very good to give. So if you're watching this, I hope you support too.
This is Jay from Elmsford. Jay baked hundreds of pies and donated the proceeds to Feeding Westchester. The dynamic 10-year-old makes a mean sweet potato pie.
I want to give back because I do actually want to help others. I don't want to, I get sad when I see homeless people on the streets and I can't help them.
Hi, I'm Melinda White from Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is proud to salute Feeding Westchester for all it is doing in our community during these unprecedented times. There are so many in need of assistance, and you are providing aid when it is most needed. Wells Fargo is proud to be part of Westchester Strong.
There's a fairy tale couple that I know. I wonder if love could ever grow cold. See that lady loves that man with all her heart, but he treats her not so smart. Whoa, if I could reach into his heart and let him be a better person, it would be a dream come true for me. But I know that it's impossible, so I only hope he'd look at her and say, someday, ooh, I love you, and I want to see you smile. Could you smile for me? Ooh, I love you, and I want to see you smile. Could you smile for me? smile for me. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, I love you, and I want to see you smile. Smile for me.
Hi, I'm Will Cavello, and over the past few months, I have raised over $10,000 for Feeding Westchester. And in quarantine, I learned to bake sourdough bread. And before this, I always kind of felt like I was a little too young to make a little bit of it to make a difference. But now I realize you could use some of your talents to make a difference. And so I learned to make bread, and I've been selling it to my neighbors, friends, and family, and then 100% of the proceeds will go to charity. And I chose Feeding Westchester because people are struggling right now, and it's a good way to help out.
They say it takes a village, and at times like these, we need all the villagers we can find. Some give money, some give their time, and then there's another group who gives all that and then some to help feed families in need. As we work together to get through this pandemic, we stay inspired by so many that continue to support others even during a time of such uncertainty. While we might be virtual for a little while longer, we look forward to your creativity and continued success and support. We can't do this without you. If you have an idea and a passion for helping to fight hunger here in Westchester, let us know. We'd love to work with you. Head over to feedingwestchester.org for more information. And now, please join me in listening to a song written and performed by one of our very own, Josh Arrowman.
I'll see you where the sun meets the moon. The dawn is breaking and the night's leaving soon. I'll see the blue sky in your eyes, the clouds and the memories passing by. I close my eyes as your heart beats next to mine, thinking about our past lives without a reason to rhyme. That's when I hear you say, nothing lasts forever, nothing stays the same. I'll always be your shelter from the rain. When today becomes tomorrow and tomorrow becomes too late, don't ever let your love slip away. I'll never let your love slip away.
Hi, I'm Alan Cole from AJ's Burgers in New Rochelle, New York, the best burgers in Westchester, and it's also home of Mariano Rivera's favorite dish. I'm a partner in Feeding Westchester because I'm a champion chef, and we're helping feeding people in our community. Before COVID-19, 1 in 5 had hunger insecurities. Today, it's even worse. So grab some love, get some passion, get some sugar, spice, everything nice. We got to get some pantry goods to our neighbors. They're hungry and they need our help.
Your gift can make a lasting impact on the lives of many who are not able to afford food, not just for the holidays, but beyond that. Feeding Westchester is fighting to keep food on the tables of those who need it the most. Help them to continue the fight by making a generous donation today. Text the letters FW to the number at the bottom of your screen. Thank you.
About 5 years ago, I was offered the privilege of serving on the board of directors of what was then known as the Food Bank of Westchester. To me, the opportunity made perfect sense. For nearly 100 years, Robeson has been keeping the people of Westchester warm and safe in their homes. The Food Bank allowed us to link our mission with the efforts to eradicate food insecurity in our neighborhoods. We believe strongly that people in our own community should not have to choose between heating their home and putting food on the table. Please join us in the effort to ensure that no one in our community goes to bed at night wondering whether they'll be able to keep nutritious food in their cupboard or on their children's plates. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Marcia Gordon, and I'm President and CEO of the Business Council of Westchester. We are Westchester County's business membership organization focused on economic development and legislative advocacy. We're very proud to have 1,000 members and 140 not-for-profits as members of the Business Council of Westchester. They all do a great job, especially in this very challenging time of COVID-19. But perhaps it's fair to say that there is none more important right now than feeding Westchester. We know that so many people in Westchester are food insecure every day, and many more have joined the ranks of those that are food insecure during this crisis. Their children, their families, they're our neighbors, they're our employees. So please donate generously to Feeding Westchester.
Thank you to all of our guests and to all of you at home who've given to help feed our neighbors. If there's anywhere in the world where hunger could end, it's here. In one of the wealthiest places in the United States, there's no excuse for anyone to go to bed hungry. We have the capacity to change this. All we need is you. So to donate, text to the number at the bottom of the screen or head to feedingwestchester.org/donate.
Thanks so much for joining us for a night of music and fun, and most of all, fundraising. Again, we need your help. Do whatever you can. We'll see you next time.
I was born by the river in a little tent, and oh, just like this river I've been running.
We are Feeding Westchester.
I am Feeding Westchester.
I am Feeding Westchester.
I am Feeding Westchester. I am Feeding Westchester.
We are Feeding Westchester.
I'm proud to be part of Feeding Westchester, and today I am Feeding Westchester.
Hi, I'm Lisa Salvatore, and together we are Feeding Westchester.
I am Feeding Westchester.
I am Feeding Westchester.
We are Feeding Westchester.
'Cause I don't know what's up there.